This Miami Heat team, man, I swear, they got me doing the Godfather 3 thing again. I was out. I was checked out. And then, these last few games, they pulled me back in, especially after this Cavs win. Best win since, dare I say, the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals? Yeah, I think it's that good of a win. I am so back in, and I am back to being a delusional Heat fan. And where's my mind right now?
We're going to be championship.
Thank you, Leandro. Awesome.
All right.
We're going to be championship.
We're going to be championship.
With a guy like Drew Smith on our team?
We're going to be championship.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not that delusional. But, like I've been saying, I do believe that there is a good team in this roster. And we saw it on full display in that Cavs game. When you have these guys playing to their full potential, and your stars are playing like your stars, and your role guys are playing like your role guys, and you play good, sustained basketball, you play to your identity, you have Spo, he's figuring out the right lineups and rotations and all that stuff, and you beat one of the best teams in the league, the team with the best record. Phenomenal. Tyler Herro is an all-star. I will die upon that hill. Tyler Herro is an all-star. It's official. I've seen enough. He's an all-star. By the way, right before I started recording this, I saw he was just named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Congrats to Tyler. He averaged 25, 6, and 6 this past week on 51% shooting, 44% from 3, had 34 points last night against the Cavs on 10 of 19 shooting. Shout out to Tyler. Bam is back, seems to be back. Happy for him. Jimmy, solid, closing fourth quarters really well. Duncan has been incredible. 42 points in the last 2 games, 14 for 23, 9 for 14 from 3. I really want to start off by giving heaps and heaps of praise to the great Drew Smith. One of the most maligned and hated players on the Miami Heat up to very recently. I mean, Miami Heat fans just hated this poor guy to the point where I was like, I really kind of felt bad for him. Last year, against the Cavs, ironically, he had this freak injury. He slips on this piece of paper, and then the Cavs have that stupid, weird court that just like ends on this cliff, and he hurt his knee. He was out forever, and everybody kind of forgot he existed. And then all of a sudden, he's back in the mix and back on the roster, and clearly put a ton of work in the offseason. He cut his hair. He has a whole new look, and his defense has improved. His offense has improved. He's playing winning basketball, and I mean, these last few games, he's getting like damn near 30 minutes per game. And one of my favorite plays of the entire season was him, maybe around like 4 minutes left, getting not 1, but 2 offensive rebounds, followed by a 3-pointer all in 1 possession. That right there is the embodiment of Miami Heat basketball. If you ever want Eric Spoelstra to give you minutes, get 2 offensive rebounds and follow it up with a 3-pointer against the team in the league with the best record. That's going to give you minutes. And this is one of these games where it's like, man, what do I even talk about? Like, the game kind of speaks for itself, and everybody did what they're supposed to do. And I have in my notes here, my chicken scratch notes, the second thing I wrote was Heat look engaged. Real Heat fans, like when you watch a team and you watch every game, you know pretty early on when they're engaged or they're on their nonsense. And it starts with Bam and Jimmy. I really think that these games start with an engaged, aggressive Jimmy and Bam. Bam had 7 quick points to start the game, and then you had an active Jimmy with steals. He's running the floor. He's scoring, doing all that stuff. So I love when Jimmy and Bam are aggressive from the jump. And then, Jimmy gets a little quiet, and then Tyler picks up in the third quarter, and then Jimmy helps close in the fourth quarter. That seems like a really good system they have going. And what I've noticed these last 2 games is that now, since Tyler has such a reputation around the league of being an absolute assassin from 3, a lot of these teams are trying to deny him his 3-pointer. But he is such a well-rounded game that he's been taking it to the basket really well this season. He can do his mid-range floater thing if he needs to this season. And he's a really good passer as well. And he just has like a much more measured approach, and he's just playing real high IQ basketball and winning basketball. And by halftime, you had Jimmy, Bam, Tyler, and Duncan all in double figures. I mean, that right there is a recipe for success. And then Tyler went absolutely nuts in the third quarter, 19-point third quarter. And what a change, because in the not too distant past, what was our problem? The infamous third quarter. We were god awful in the third quarter, and man, am I happy that the whole third quarter thing is behind us, because that was just miserable. And I just want to touch on Terry Rozier real quick. Solid game last night, 14 points, 9 rebounds, I think. The 9 rebounds is very impressive for a guy that's only 6'1", and I like this role. I like Terry coming off the bench, being the spark to the offense, and sometimes he's not going to be that good. Sometimes he is going to be good. I like Terry much more in this role than him starting, because that lineup with him and Jovic, Jimmy, Bam, Tyler, it was not working. Okay, a few more things I want to touch upon here, and then that's it. I mean, really, the crux of this video is that the players that are most important to this team are playing to their potential. I'm so happy for Bam, though, because people were really down on him, and I was worried about him, too. But he seems to really kind of been getting back into his groove. What an underrated passer Bam is, too. I mean, these last few games, I think he's had like 6, 7, 8 assists in each of those games. Free throws, another thing. 24 for 26 free throws. That is huge, because there has been so many games this year where I'm like, how are we 67 and 72% from the free throw line? Like, you got to bump those numbers up. And I think we were up to 24 for 24 until Jimmy missed back-to-back ones, but really good free throws. Obviously, you're not going to go like 92% every game, but you got to be at least like 80% free throws. Like, you got to hit your free throws. You have no excuse to miss your free throws. You're professional basketball players. Very happy for Jimmy, too, because remember, he had 2 solid games, and this is on a back-to-back. And usually Jimmy is not good on back-to-backs, or he doesn't play back-to-backs, and him doing well on back-to-backs and winning back-to-backs, that's a good sign. And the other thing I'm happy about with this game and these last few games is the sustainability that we see. And Spo talks about this, and he talked about it again in this game, is that how we made the other team feel us. And not only that, but they sustained it throughout the game.
You have to be able to sustain a high level of basketball on both ends of the court. You know, if they didn't hit those 2 threes at the end, you're holding them under 110. And then, you know, scoring 120 plus against a really good defense, that means you have a lot of intentional things, you know, going on. And you're not just doing it in spurts. So it was a consistent game. We were able to sustain it and earn the win, which the guys feel good about the last, 48 hours.
That's the sign of a good team. That's what the good teams do. And things feel good. They're clicking. There's chemistry. The role players are playing pretty well. Not all the role players, but enough role players are playing well. The players are playing to their potential. Spo, like I said earlier, he's figuring out rotations, making pieces fit. Now, okay, yes, you beat the CAVS. Awesome. Fantastic. That was a huge test. But I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial here. These next 2 games against the dopey Raptors and the Pistons, that, in my opinion, is just as much of a test as this CAVS game. Because you got to be able to beat bad teams. You got to be able to beat bad teams. All the good teams, they beat bad teams. So yeah, you beat the CAVS, that's awesome. Now you have no excuse to lose these next 2 games against the Raptors and Pistons. Zero excuse. You just beat one of the best teams in the league. You're healthy, firing on all cylinders. These next 2 games, they got to be W's.